Have you ever wondered why the men who truly control wealth are never the ones you see on magazine covers, never the ones paraded on glowing screens, never the ones begging for admiration from crowds that secretly envy them? And why every empire that rises loudly is eventually torn down just as loudly by the same eyes that once applauded it? Power, when it is genuine, has always understood one law that the poor refuse to learn. That visibility is a liability, that attention is a tax, and that those who stand in the light become targets long before they become legends. Because men do not destroy what they cannot see, and they cannot steal what they cannot locate, and they cannot plot against what remains a rumor instead of a face. The masses are trained to believe that success must announce itself, that greatness must be witnessed, that wealth must sparkle in public in order to be real. Yet this belief is a trap designed by those who already rule. Because the more visible you are, the more predictable you become. And the more predictable you are, the easier it is to neutralize you, to bleed you through taxation, regulation, envy, litigation, and social pressure, until what once looked like a fortress becomes a cage of expectations and obligations. And you will find yourself working not for your own expansion, but for the comfort of those who watch you. Men do not hate power. They hate the sight of someone else holding it. And this is why every celebrated tycoon eventually becomes a villain in the public imagination. Because the crowd forgives poverty, but never forgives dominance. And once you are seen as having more than your share, the knives begin to sharpen in the minds of bureaucrats, journalists, and even your own neighbors who smile while secretly resenting your position. And resentment is always the seed of destruction, because those who feel smaller will always seek to pull down those who stand taller. A wise ruler therefore learns to wear masks, to let others take the stage while he holds the strings, to let loud men fight for attention while he moves quietly behind the curtain where real decisions are made. Because applause is not power and recognition is not security. And every man who trades privacy for praise will eventually discover that he has sold his freedom for a fleeting feeling of importance. While the invisible man accumulates leverage, information, and assets beyond the reach of the mob's gaze. This is why history is written about kings and generals, but controlled by bankers, advisors, and silent families whose names never become common speech. Because the throne attracts arrows, but the treasury remains untouched when it is hidden in shadows. And the one who understands this does not rush to display his victories. He lets others believe they are winning, while he counts what they cannot see. Because appearances are for fools, and outcomes are for those who know how to wait. If you wish to become rich, you must therefore abandon the childish desire to be admired. Because admiration is expensive, it demands explanation, justification, and eventually submission to the expectations of others. While invisibility allows you to maneuver without resistance, to acquire without being noticed, to make enemies before they even realize you exist. And this is the true advantage of the fox who slips past traps, not by strength, but by never stepping where the hunters are watching. People judge more by what they see than by what is. And so the art of becoming invisible is not about hiding in poverty, but about hiding in plain sight, about letting others underestimate you while you quietly build structures of wealth and influence that do not rely on their approval. Because the moment they begin to praise you is the moment they begin to claim you. And the moment they claim you is the moment you are no longer free to act according to necessity, but only according to their fragile sense of fairness, which has never created anything except mediocrity and resentment. And once you are no longer free to act according to necessity, you become a servant of appearances, forced to maintain an image that no longer serves your interests, because the crowd does not love you for what you do, but for what you symbolize to their own hopes and frustrations. And the moment you deviate from that illusion, they will turn on you with a fury that feels moral, but is nothing more than wounded expectation. Which is why the invisible man is always safer than the celebrated one. For he has no image to defend and no lie to maintain. Every system of power, whether political or financial, is built on surveillance and compliance. And the more visible you become, the more completely you are absorbed into those systems, tagged, categorized, regulated, taxed, and psychologically pressured into behaving in ways that make you predictable and therefore controllable. While the man who remains obscure slips through the cracks of bureaucracy, operating in the spaces where rules are weak and enforcement is blind, which is where true wealth is accumulated long before it is ever displayed. Understand this clearly. People do not rise by being virtuous. They rise by being useful, and they fall by being seen as a threat. So if you insist on broadcasting your success, you announce yourself as both a source of envy and a potential rival to those who already dominate the landscape. And rivals are never tolerated for long, because power is not shared by those who possess it. It is defended, protected, and hoarded with the same instinct that guards territory in every predatory species. This is why the men who survive at the top are those who master perception, who allow others to believe they are smaller, weaker, or less important than they truly are. Because underestimated power is the most dangerous kind, and it is far easier to strike from the shadows than from a brightly lit stage where every move is watched, criticized, and anticipated by enemies who pretend to be admirers until the moment they find an opening. You must therefore learn to separate your true operations from your public identity, to let the world interact with a harmless mask, while your real self negotiates, acquires, and consolidates in silence. Because the mask absorbs the hatred, the scrutiny, and the distractions, while the hidden core remains focused on what matters, which is not being liked, but being positioned, not being celebrated, but being secured. The crowd believes that transparency is virtuous, yet transparency is nothing more than vulnerability dressed up as morality. Because when everyone knows your moves, your assets, and your intentions, you have already surrendered the strategic advantage that allows you to act without interference. And interference is the true enemy of wealth, for it slows, complicates, and taxes every decision until opportunity slips away into the hands of those who were never foolish enough to announce themselves. So you must become comfortable with being misunderstood, even dismissed, because obscurity grants you the freedom to operate beyond the reach of gossip, regulation, and social pressure. And it is in that freedom that fortunes are quietly built, not through dramatic gestures, but through patient accumulation, through deals no one hears about, through positions no one notices, until they have already matured into something too large to challenge without causing chaos. Those who chase visibility believe that fame creates leverage, but fame only creates exposure. And exposure is the first step toward being controlled. Because once your name becomes a symbol, you no longer belong to yourself. You belong to the stories others tell about you. And stories are weapons used to manipulate behavior to force you into roles that serve the interests of those who spread them. While the invisible man remains immune to narratives, free to shift, adapt, and strike as necessity demands. Because necessity, not morality, is what governs every serious arena of wealth. And those who allow themselves to be bound by public expectations will always be outmaneuvered by those who recognize that rules are only rigid for those who are seen, while the unseen move fluidly between them, bending and exploiting every gap that visibility cannot protect. Which is why the most dangerous actors in any system are never the ones giving speeches, but the ones listening quietly and calculating. When you are invisible, you are not burdened by the need to explain yourself. And explanation is a form of weakness because it invites debate. And debate invites delay. And delay kills opportunity. So the man who does not owe anyone an explanation can move with speed and decisiveness, acquiring assets, relationships, and positions long before the rest of the world even realizes that a shift has occurred. And by the time they notice, it is already too late to stop him without destroying themselves. People are conditioned to believe that wealth comes from effort that is publicly displayed, from hustle that can be admired, from stories that can be shared. Yet in reality, wealth comes from control of flows that no one sees, from ownership of systems rather than participation in them. And systems are built quietly through contracts, through leverage, through influence over decision makers who never appear on television because they have no need to. Their power speaks for them in outcomes rather than headlines. The more eyes on you, the more hands reach toward you, demanding a share, demanding compliance, demanding that you justify why you have more than they do. And this is why public success is always followed by public punishment. Because societies tolerate inequality only when it is hidden, but once it is flaunted, they seek to correct it through law, through shame, and through force, while the invisible accumulates without provoking the instincts of redistribution that destroy the bold. This is not a moral failing of the masses. It is a psychological certainty, for men compare themselves constantly, and comparison breeds resentment, and resentment demands a target. So if you wish to keep what you build, you must avoid becoming that target. You must let others believe that their lives are better than yours, or at least not threatened by yours, while in truth you are quietly positioning yourself far beyond their reach. A prince who shows his treasury invites thieves, and a man who displays his wealth invites predators of every kind, from tax collectors to litigators to false friends who see opportunity where once there was loyalty, because loyalty is based on utility. And when your utility is exposed as financial, it attracts those who wish to drain it. So the wise hide their riches not because they are ashamed of them, but because they understand how quickly they can be taken when they are known. Invisibility also grants you the power to observe without being observed, which is the foundation of all strategic advantage, because you learn who is loyal, who is greedy, who is fearful, and who is ambitious before any of them have learned anything about you. And information is the most valuable currency in every market. Yet it is only freely given to those who do not appear threatening, which is why the underestimated man always knows more than the admired one. To be invisible is therefore not to be absent, but to be inscrutable. To exist without revealing your intentions. To move without announcing your destination. And to accumulate without displaying your progress, because the world is not kind to those who stand out. It is only patient with those it does not notice. And patience is all a strategist needs to turn small advantages into overwhelming dominance. And dominance is never seized in a single dramatic moment, but assembled quietly through 1,000 small moves that no one bothers to track. Because attention is always focused on spectacle, on crisis, on the loud collisions of egos and institutions, while the true shifts of power happen in silence, in boardrooms without cameras, in accounts without names, in agreements written in language too dull for the masses to read, but too precise for them to ever break. Those who announce their ambitions invite opposition, because ambition is interpreted as aggression by anyone who might lose from your success. So the wise do not declare their goals. They let their results appear long after the intentions that created them have been forgotten. Which is why the most successful fortunes look to the outside world as if they came from nowhere, sudden and inexplicable, when in truth they were built patiently under the cover of obscurity. You must understand that the public sphere is not a marketplace of truth, but a battlefield of perception, where every visible figure is either elevated or destroyed according to narratives they cannot control. And so to step into that arena is to surrender your fate to forces that do not care about your long-term survival, only about their own need for stories, scandals, and symbols, while the invisible man remains untouched by these cycles, free to grow while others are distracted. Wealth requires stability, and stability is impossible when your identity is constantly being negotiated by strangers, because reputation becomes a weapon that can be used against you, twisted by rivals and regulators alike to justify any action they wish to take. And once your name is stained, every door closes at once, regardless of the reality behind the accusations. Which is why those who truly value their fortunes keep their names out of the mouths of the public. Consider how easily a celebrated figure can be dismantled. How a single accusation, a single policy change, or a single wave of outrage can erase decades of achievement. While the invisible remain insulated because they do not rely on approval, they rely on structure, on diversified holdings, on alliances that are bound by mutual benefit rather than public loyalty, which makes them far more resilient than any hero of the headlines. The crowd does not protect those who serve it. It consumes them, using their rise as entertainment and their fall as moral instruction. So if you seek to be rich rather than famous, you must resist the temptation to be seen as exceptional. Because exceptionalism attracts both admiration and hostility always wins in the end, as it is fueled by envy, which is far more powerful than gratitude. Invisibility also allows you to shift identities when necessary to exit one market and enter another without dragging a trail of expectations behind you. Because flexibility is another form of power, and those who are locked into a single public persona cannot adapt without being accused of hypocrisy, while the unseen adapt freely, guided only by necessity and opportunity rather than by the need to appear consistent. Thus, the true art of becoming rich is not to chase exposure, but to cultivate opacity, to let others remain uncertain about your scale, your reach, and your intentions. Because uncertainty breeds caution, and caution protects you from attack, while clarity invites challenge, and challenge always extracts a price, whether in money, energy, or freedom, that no wise man would willingly pay. And every price that is extracted from you because you are known is a price that could have been invested into expanding your position if you had remained unseen. Because the greatest drain on wealth is not failure, but interference. The constant friction of being managed, judged, and constrained by forces that have no interest in your success, only in controlling it for their own advantage. When regulators know your name, they study your books. When journalists know your face, they study your past. When the public knows your wealth, they study your morality. And none of these examinations are neutral. They are all weapons designed to create leverage over you, to force you into compliance, to extract concessions, to slow you down until those who operate quietly can overtake you without resistance. The invisible man, by contrast, is a ghost in these systems, too small to bother, too obscure to target, too ambiguous to regulate with precision. And this ambiguity is his shield, because systems of control require clear subjects, clear boundaries, and clear narratives, all of which disappear when you do not present a single easily definable identity for them to attack. This is why so many fortunes are held through layers of companies, trusts, and intermediaries, not out of paranoia, but out of strategy. Because complexity creates distance, and distance creates safety. While simplicity invites scrutiny, and scrutiny invites extraction, whether through taxes, lawsuits, or political pressure that forces you to fund agendas that do not serve your own. People who flaunt their wealth believe it makes them powerful. Yet it makes them dependent on the protection of the very systems that exist to limit power. Because once you are visible, you must play by the rules of those who see you. And those rules are written to favor the already entrenched, not the ambitious. So every dollar you display becomes a hook that pulls you deeper into their net. A wise prince therefore accumulates quietly, using others to take the risk, to bear the blame, and to attract the attention while he remains insulated behind structures that allow him to profit without being present. Because presence creates liability. And liability is what allows your enemies to hurt you without ever confronting you directly. Even your allies become more dangerous when they know too much about you. Because knowledge creates leverage, and leverage is always eventually used, whether through betrayal or through demands for a greater share. So the invisible man shares only what is necessary, never revealing the full extent of his resources or intentions, because mystery keeps others cautious, and cautious people are easy to manage. To become rich is therefore not to accumulate things, but to accumulate options, to build a position from which you can move, invest, or withdraw, without being trapped by reputation, contracts, or public narratives. And invisibility multiplies your options by reducing the number of forces that can bind you. Which is why it is the first discipline of anyone who seeks lasting power. Those who do not understand this chase validation, they chase applause. They chase the illusion that being known is the same as being secure. And in doing so, they place themselves at the mercy of moods, markets, and mobs, while the invisible quietly convert every unnoticed advantage into a permanent increase in their leverage over the world that ignores them. And leverage once established compounds faster than any public success ever could, because it grows in places where competition is thin and oversight is weak, allowing the invisible to acquire at prices the visible can never access. Since everyone who is watched must pay a premium for the privilege of being seen, whether through taxes, inflated valuations, or the constant cost of defending their image. There is a reason the greatest transfers of wealth happen during moments of chaos, when attention is fixed on fear and spectacle, while those who prepared in silence step forward to buy, to claim, to consolidate because they are not paralyzed by the need to explain themselves. And this freedom to act without justification is what separates predators from prey in every financial collapse. The visible panic, the invisible position themselves, and this is not cruelty, but reality. For markets do not reward virtue, they reward readiness. And readiness is built when no one is watching. When you are accumulating cash, credit, and connections, while others are busy signaling their success, unaware that the very signals they broadcast are being used by quieter minds to anticipate their weakness. If you want to be rich, you must therefore train yourself to value discretion over display. Because every display creates a trail, and every trail can be followed, taxed, sued, or sabotaged. while discretion leaves nothing but rumors, and rumors cannot be regulated, only guessed at, which gives you the advantage of operating beyond the reach of rules that bind those who seek recognition. This is why so many celebrated entrepreneurs eventually find themselves constrained by the systems they once bypassed. Forced into public offerings, forced into compliance, forced into structures that make them accountable not to their own strategy, but to the expectations of investors, voters, or consumers who care nothing for the long game that created the wealth in the first place. The invisible, by contrast, can exit and re-enter markets without ceremony, shifting capital from one domain to another as conditions change because no one is tracking their moves closely enough to interfere. And this fluidity is the true definition of power, the ability to adapt without asking permission, to redeploy without explaining, to abandon sunk costs without being accused of betrayal. People speak of freedom as if it were a moral state, but in reality, freedom is a logistical condition, the absence of constraints that prevent you from acting in your own interest. And visibility multiplies constraints while invisibility dissolves them, which is why those who truly value their independence learn to operate below the threshold of notice, where rules are applied with less enthusiasm. So long as you remain a name, you are governed by the rules that apply to names. But when you become a network, a structure, a pattern of ownership that no one can easily map, you move beyond personal control into a realm where you can negotiate from strength, because those who cannot fully see you cannot fully dominate you. In this way, invisibility is not weakness, but the highest form of security. A cloak that allows you to move through systems designed to exploit the visible. And it is under this cloak that the most durable fortunes in history have been built, not through bold declarations, but through quiet accumulation that no one thought worth stopping until it was already unstoppable. If you have made it this far, it is because a part of you already knows this truth. Visibility attracts envy, competition, and interference. The people who build real wealth do it quietly, away from eyes that want to copy, sabotage, or drain what they are creating. Now tell me in the comments if you are ready to stop announcing your moves and start building in silence. If this message touched you and made sense, write in the comments. I build unseen. Let us see how many here are truly ready to grow without being hunted. And do not forget, keep watching the next video. It is important, much more than you imagine. See you there. Want to unlock even more? Tap the link in our bio to access the Abundant Wealth Code Sound Frequency, designed to elevate your potential and align you with a life of purpose, prosperity, and peace. If this message resonates, like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your presence and support matters more than you know, and together we rise